You guys make enough. You should get someone to hold your microphone or something.
Hey, Mark, with you guys starting the backup quarterback, does the defense take any different mentality or extra responsibility going into the game at all?
Probably, subconsciously, but, our focus was on Maryland. Teams that are in positions, like Maryland, they've come off a couple big losses. Things aren't going that well for them, but yet they're, trying to play for a bowl game. They're just dangerous teams because they're willing to do anything. And early on, evident of that was when they went for that field goal, and then they came out in what we call swing gate formation, which is usually people reserve that for the PAT, and our guys did a great job. They covered it down and defended it. So, there's some to that as far as not having Tommy on the field, but wasted energy from a standpoint of worrying about that. And it was more important that we focused on us, how we played, and then Maryland's offense.
You had a similar situation with not knowing who their quarterback was going to be,
Right.
and they end up playing a kid that
Yeah, who?
you just kind of have a blanket.
Right away, what we did was first thing we did was we had the GAs go upstairs and get into the media guide and do some research and get on the internet and basically a pro-style quarterback and so on and so forth. So he didn't change much. Our concern was, with three, because he gave them something a little bit different in the run game, and then in the pass game, it wasn't so much his overall prowess, throwing the ball as it was, his ability to scramble and extend plays. So, again, we focused on their offense, the core run, their concepts and pass and things like that. And then more of our focus with the quarterback was that in the run game, whether they were going to be able to add the quarterback as a part of it, what kind of threat, and then more importantly in the pass game from a standpoint of the three scrambling ability.
When was it that you sent the guys to go research that? When did you know?
Right during warm-ups. Yeah.
Can you talk about the Maryland 11 yards rushing?
Well, the thing that really is killing me right now, because I'm trying to say it the right way, the 92-yard pass was just, we've been fighting this thing all year. We went through it all last year, the big plays. I'm very pleased about the 11 yards rushing. There's no doubt about that. Because they were similar to Minnesota from a standpoint of, they wanted to protect the young quarterbacks, from a standpoint of just having to sit back there and throw the ball. You always have to do that. You've got to take away the run game first. There's absolutely no doubt about that. There was a period of time from about the next to the last series of the third quarter that we were taking yards off the board. I think it was 94 at one time. And somewhere in the fourth quarter, I think we had them down to 70. So, and then we get that screen play, which will just haunt you, And I threatened them in the locker room. I said, if you missed a tackle, which there's more than one guy on that particular play, you got hell to pay come Monday, because those are the kind of things. If we're going to continue to progress, that they can't happen. There's no time to let your guard down, and you've got to play every play, and it doesn't matter who you're playing or what the situation is of the game. You've got to know how to finish, and you've got to know how to make plays.
How'd you hold your emotions with all these seniors today?
Oh shit, we've got 2 more games, at least to play. So I'll worry about that, come the end, but. It's this day, is for them and for the Nebraska fans to honor them. And, the thing about this group right here is that, when you came in, as we did last year, you kind of looked around the room and you kept looking, and the more games that we played and the more we were together, you're saying, hey, this junior class is special. And, It's been a great group. They provided great leadership. I've said that before after games. I've said it during the week on our media day, that when they got off that plane, from the UCLA game and the bowl game, they were a catalyst from a standpoint of holding everybody accountable to make sure that everybody did everything in their power to get to this point where we're at right now. And I told the defensive group, number one, This is about this group, this senior group, and then you lead us. You lead us to victory today, and then everybody else, you better be out in front. Doing everything you can to make sure this group has a proper send-off here at Memorial Stadium.
Mark, I don't know how well you know Tanner's lab, but to see him get into the fourth quarter with one play or one tackle after his entire, season of this is his only season, joining the team after all these field tryouts. I don't know how well you know his story or anything. I know you don't know anybody on the team.
No, I know. I mean, I coached the kid. He's somebody, like before every game. I mean, he's like the first one up to you in the locker room. He's the first one when he gets out on the field. Hey, good luck today, coach. And just a real positive attitude, a worker, just a good person. And for him to be able to get out there and, like you said, make a tackle, that was awesome. So I was just glad we got in a situation that we could do that.
Hey, Mark, did they embrace, when you said we're going to look at that film and get held to pay Monday, did they embrace that you're on them about one play rather
Oh, no
than-
doubt.
None of them are
Yeah,
like, hey,
no
but the
doubt.
other
Could be
plays were good.
no,
They
because
want that perfection.
yeah, because I mean that is a mindset, that is an attitude. There's that's all it takes. Defensive football is about your last play. That's all it, and it's about the next play. It's never about the ones that the previous one. You got to get back on your mark. You got to go execute. You can't have negative thoughts. You can't dwell on something, and that's all it takes. Because once again, if it's a close game, just like last week, we end up with 12 guys on the field because we think we're a nickel in that punt safe situation, and we end up costing ourselves a touchdown. And the game last week, the score was different, and it created a situation that just didn't need to happen. So defensively, it's just a different thought process from that standpoint, because absolutely every play matters.
But they're on board with that.
They are on
they
board.
weren't
They're not going to tell me, and I don't know, ask them, but they're not going to sit there and go, oh, hey, no worries, coach. Because I tell you what, if they've got that attitude, then we're not making progress. But I would guarantee that they don't have that attitude. I'll go out on a limb and say that, because if they do, we need to explain to them why. But I think that we've all been together long enough now that we want to be. Anybody can be mediocre. We want to be great. And every play, that's what coaching is. Coaching sometimes and more often than not becomes a negative thing, because even though somebody does something well, you're still trying to find a better way to do it. And that goes for that particular play. I mean, it's one of those. I mean, how many chances do you have to hold an opponent under 100 yards a game? How many chances do you have to shut out an opponent? How many times do you keep an opponent under 90 yards a game? At that point in time in the game, I think someone told me just a little bit ago they only had like 88 yards. We were taking yards off the clock. I think second to last series, they were still under 100. I think they were around 94, 98. I remember looking up in the fourth quarter, and they were down to about 70. And then you just work hard for perfection all the time, and nobody's perfect. We got that, but if you settle, then I think we're asking for trouble.
Did you these last 2 weeks, did you expect anything less than what you've after coming out of Ohio State? Did you expect anything different than what you got in the last 2 weeks?
No. Again, it would have been a disappointment, but again, it's a little bit of a check to see how much progress we made, where we're headed mentally, because this group has never been a group. Even at Ohio State, I mean, they were down. They were disappointed in their performance. It hurt, and I think along with hurt, embarrassed, and the best way to go about fixing that is to do something about it. We could talk about it all we want. You've got to go take action, and that's what they did.
Josh Banderas was pretty active again, Mark.
Yeah.
It seems like this is about 5-6 weeks in a row. I know we've asked.
He's a worker. He film study. You can't. What's interesting is, as coaches, you sit there and you watch all this film all the time, and you know these teams inside out. And then, I've been doing this a long time, and you're always saying, you know what? Now, how do we get this information to the players so the players know the same things you know because we can't play, right? So, yeah, you know, he's one of those guys. He watches a ton of tape. You know, he's out there. He gets all the information we give him during the week. He pays attention to detail. And again, it's all about effort and want to, and certainly he exudes that.
Looking further back, your secondary had a few chance at picks or whatever, but they were in the right place. It seemed like. You know, what can you say about that group today?
They got filthy hands, I guess, and I'm sure they'll all blame us as coaches for not throwing them enough balls. But we dropped 3. I thought there was another one that I think it was Kyron came up, kind of broke maybe a little bit too soon on it. The thing ended up getting tipped and flipping over the top of his head. He's been the net master of the tip ball. Josh Kalu made a nice play at the end. He had a chance. He had his hands on the ball. So, again, opportunities and those type of things, you know, in tight games, that's what you've got to do. You know, you've got to be able to make those plays. And because those are difference makers, you know, they flip the game and change the course of events.
Some people get hung up on the idea of 9 wins being a big mark in college football, and I'm sure you try and take them one at a time, but what can you say walking away when you guys get to a level like that?
Well, we've won 9 games. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, to be honest with you, right now, all I can really think about is the short week and the preparation for Iowa and getting another win. It beats the alternative, that's for certain. But you know, we lost a close game to Wisconsin that we felt like we were a handful of plays away. We just absolutely, threw away an opportunity on a big stage against Ohio State, and now we've got Iowa at Iowa, who came off a big victory a week ago against Michigan at their place. It's going to be a tough game, and let's get to 10, and then we'll go from there.
Nebraska, kind of piggybacking off of that, hasn't had a won all its home games since 2012, and that's only this is only the second time since like early 2000s. What was it about this team that turned it around quite from where it was last year to now, essentially?
Well, I think you've got a good group of players that have taken it upon themselves to, hold each other accountable, to put words into action, and then accept the coaching, and then go out and do it. I mean, that's really what it comes down to, And then along the way, you get some breaks here and there, and you keep forging forward and believe in each other. Play together and play for one another, and that's what they've done.
Hey Mark, how emotional is it for you for these seniors who seem to really have bought in and help this program take the next step, to have them go out the way they did today?
Yeah. Now, it was great that they were able to have the opportunity to be in front of these great fans here and have them pay tribute to them. But we've got 2 more games, so before I get too nostalgic about the seniors, let's get the next one, and then let's go on to the bowl game, and let's get that one, and then maybe somewhere in between we get lucky and maybe we show up in the Big Ten Conference game. Who knows what could happen? Anything could happen. But it's just it's a good group. I mean, they're the heart and soul. They were the heart and soul of the group last year as a good group of juniors. So you could see that it wasn't anything you really had to find or dig too deep for, and they've done a great job going into this year.